On a bright, mild spring day in Los Angeles, May 6th of 1964, the city's sprawling streets seemed to hum with a new kind of energy. Almost as if cued by a gentle breeze, the world welcomed an infant named Dana Lingett, later known as Dana Hill, whose piercing cry broke through the warm California air. Though no one in the hospital that morning had any idea of what the future held for this tiny newcomer, those first few breaths heralded the arrival of a soul destined to leave an unforgettable imprint on both Hollywood and the hearts of countless fans worldwide. Dana's family circle was small but brimming with creative possibility. Her father, Theodore Arthur Ted Gudis, though credited differently in various places, was a commercial director who poured his passion into every shoot he orchestrated. From a young age, Dana learned how meticulously each 30-second clip could be crafted, how a compelling image could be stitched together on film to capture imaginations in just half a minute. In many ways, Dana's first lessons in storytelling were gleaned from her father's late-night script discussions and the hum of camera equipment that sometimes spilled into their family living room. Her mother, Sandy, was a quiet yet steadfast presence, supporting Dana's curiosity and cheerful energy even before she could walk. Sandy saw in Dana a spark that promised something special, an innate brightness that went beyond just being an enthusiastic child. In the early days, their home felt cozy, filled with laughter, the subtle whir of reels from Ted's editing equipment, and the comforting aroma of family dinners. Dana's parents relished in their daughter's every giggle, her sweet habit of babbling nonsensical stories, and the surprising intelligence she displayed before she was even old enough for kindergarten. It was a routine slice of Los Angeles life: sun-drenched days, palm trees swaying in the wind, and quiet evenings peppered with the conversation of a tight-knit family who found joy in each other's company. Little could they suspect that storm clouds would soon gather over that bright, promising horizon. For the first decade of Dana's life, everything seemed to move along with gentle assurance. She was a spirited girl, more adventurous than most her age, eager to run, jump, and explore the world around her. Though slender, she had an unmistakable athletic flair, something that became even more evident as she discovered a surprising talent for running. By age 10, coaches were already taking note of her speed, and she began participating in track meets that proved her talents went far beyond mere childhood exuberance. As she shot down the track with remarkable agility, onlookers marveled at how such a small, unassuming girl could overtake competitors with relative ease. In national junior competition, she placed third in the 880-yard race and fourth in the mile run, astonishing feats for someone so young. For Dana, it was a dream come true, the promise of a thrilling athletic career stretched out before her like a shimmering road. Yet life has a way of turning swiftly, and at the pinnacle of her track success, fate intervened. One otherwise ordinary day, while training around the local running track, Dana collapsed. Alarmed coaches rushed to her side, and she was immediately taken to the hospital. There, test results confirmed that she had type 1 diabetes, a chronic and potentially life-threatening condition requiring careful lifelong management. The doctor's words landed like heavy stones on her parents' hearts. Dana's days of running competitively were likely over. She would need insulin, constant vigilance, and strict routines to keep her blood sugar in check. It was a radical shift for a young girl who had just started tasting the sweetness of triumph. The next few weeks were a blur of hospital visits, tearful discussions, and the painful acknowledgement that Dana's track aspirations would not blossom in the way she had hoped. Her once unstoppable legs would be constrained by the fear of another collapse, and the demands of diabetes care would follow her everywhere. In a single moment, the energetic runner's horizon shifted, but in that same moment, a different door quietly swung open. The world of performance, storytelling, and ultimately, acting. This new dream didn't just appear out of nowhere. From the day Dana first heard the buzz around her father's commercial shoots, something inside her had awakened. The sets, the lights, the voices calling action and cut all held an irresistible allure. Even before she was old enough to fully articulate it, she sensed a deep-down pull toward entertaining others, toward becoming characters who could make audiences laugh, cry, or see the world through different eyes. If her condition no longer allowed her to run freely on the track, perhaps she could bring that same intensity and passion to the screen. Her father, Ted, initially advised caution. He knew better than anyone how harsh the entertainment industry could be, how rejection waits around every corner, how quickly success can fade. But Dana persisted. She wanted her chance, plain and simple, to prove to the world and perhaps to herself that her life held value beyond the confines of her diagnosis. With an air of determined optimism that would later become a personal trademark, she dove into the commercial scene, adopting her mother's last name, Hill, to skirt any insinuations of nepotism. She wanted to make her way on her own, step by step, audition by audition, skill by skill. Her earliest job was a 1973 spot for the YMCA. Although the memory is fuzzy now, the commercial remains a snapshot in time, capturing a bright-eyed child spinning a basketball on her finger alongside NBA star Dave Cowens. Even then, Dana's spirit was evident on camera. The quick smile, the playful gaze, that momentary twinkle of pure delight. It was the beginning of a new chapter in her life, one where the dryness of a script could transform into living stories that she could help shape through her performances. Despite her father's initial reservations, he couldn't help but feel proud. Dana had an energy that even the camera loved, and soon enough she was booking guest appearances on television shows. Family was one of her stepping stones, though her parts were often modest. Even so, each new job was a chance for her to refine her craft, to slip into the skin of a new character. As she hopped from one set to another brimming with ambition, the child athlete in her found a different sort of rush, the adrenaline of performing in front of cameras, with technicians hustling behind the scenes and directors calling out instructions. That was how she found her way onto The Two of Us, a CBS series that offered her a substantial recurring role as Gabriel Gabby Gallagher. She was only 17 at the time, but possessed a remarkable capacity to bring authentic emotion to her performance. Audiences warmed to Gabby, and the industry began to see Dana Hill's name as one to watch. Yet her youthful appearance caused some real-life confusion. More than once, police officers pulled her over while driving to the studio, convinced she was too young to be behind the wheel. While others might have found that humiliating, Dana often turned the situation into a story, recounting it with an amused grin that underscored her natural ability to find humor in even the most exasperating moments. But the true turning point, the breakout role that firmly established her as a serious actor, came with the 1981 TV movie Fallen Angel. The part was harrowing. Dana portrayed Jennifer Phillips, a 12-year-old who has been molested. This was no typical child role. It required her to access a depth of vulnerability and courage that many seasoned actors struggle to achieve. That she could so convincingly portray such raw emotion at her age was testament to how seriously she took her craft. The performance won her a Young Artist Award for Best Young Actress in a Television Special. More importantly, it garnered her wide critical acclaim and set her on a path that would lead to increasingly notable projects. From there, Dana continued gaining traction, taking roles in everything from the intimate drama Shoot the Moon to the member of the wedding. She worked alongside Pearl Bailey and Rip Torn, absorbing the wisdom of established actors, even as she developed her own approach to performance. In 1983, she jumped into Cross Creek, standing shoulder to shoulder with Mary Steenburgen in a film that recounted the life of author Marjorie Kinnan Rawlings. Each role was an opportunity to glean new lessons, both from the material and from the collaborative act of filmmaking. While juggling film parts, Dana also found steady work on television. She guest starred on The Fall Guy and Magnum P.I., brightening up episodes with her trademark blend of sincerity and enthusiasm. She starred in CBS school break specials, like Welcome Home, Jelly Bean, where she portrayed a character grappling with developmental challenges. In that particular project, Dana captured both the frustration and tenderness that come with caring for someone whose life is shaped by disability. It was as though her own experiences with diabetes gave her an empathetic vantage point, allowing her to portray characters on the margins with a profound tenderness. As the early 1980s rolled on, Dana's star kept rising. She returned to The Fall Guy for another appearance in 1986, and even graced game shows like Hot Potato and Body Language, where her natural warmth and comedic timing charmed both contestants and viewers. Her willingness to try new things, comedy, drama, voice work, reflected a restless creative spirit and the determination of someone who wanted to explore every corner of performance. Voice acting soon became a major part of her repertoire. With a remarkably expressive voice that could shift from playful and high-spirited to reflective and introspective, Dana slipped seamlessly into animated roles. Audiences heard her as Scrappy, the orphan mouse in Mighty Mouse, The New Adventures, infusing the character with a sweet but courageous demeanor that endeared Scrappy to fans. She also became the voice of Toots in Pound Puppies, and lent her talents to animated favorites like The Jetsons, for which she portrayed Teddy 2 in Jetsons, the movie. From 1989 to 1991, she brightened Disney's Adventures of the Gummy Bears as the voice of Buddy, and in the early 1990s, she portrayed Tank Muddlefoot in Darkwing Duck with a kind of offbeat irreverence that fit perfectly into the show's quirky universe. One of her more recognizable voice roles was playing Max in Goof Troop from 1992 to 1993, a show that resonated with countless young viewers who tuned in to watch the escapades of Goofy and his mischievous son. For Dana, voice acting was its own special world, one where she had to express every emotion through tone, pitch, and rhythm alone. She poured heart and soul into the microphone, ensuring that children across the country would recognize that voice as genuine, honest, and fun-loving. She made appearances in Tom and Jerry Kids and even took on the iconic role of Jerry in Tom and Jerry, the movie, proving once again her range was not limited by medium or character type. During the 1990s, she became a familiar presence on the game show To Tell the Truth, showcasing a lively wit and quick comedic reflexes on the panel. In short, Dana Hill tried almost everything the entertainment world could offer, approaching each new venture with the unrelenting optimism that had defined her since she was a young runner training on the track. Yet behind the sheen of show business success, Dana grappled every single day with the demands of type 1 diabetes. Managing blood sugar levels, adhering to medication schedules, fighting exhaustion and other complications, all these invisible battles took place quietly, away from the camera's gaze. While many saw only a vibrant performer, the truth was that Dana's everyday life was a balancing act. She had to check her glucose regularly, watch what she ate, and remain vigilant for signs that her body might be faltering under the stress. Friends and colleagues often commented on her tenacity, She rarely allowed her condition to overshadow her work, pushing herself to deliver the best performance possible, even when the hustle of film sets and the unpredictability of location shoots made managing diabetes more challenging. Such discipline could be draining, and there were days when her energy flagged in ways that were difficult for others to understand. But Dana soldiered on, determined to fulfill her roles and maintain the sense of normalcy that acting provided. She didn't hide her struggles, though. Rather, she turned them into an opportunity to help others. Over time, Dana became a quiet but persistent advocate for diabetes awareness. In public interviews, she would share glimpses of her reality, what it felt like to collapse, how measuring insulin required constant vigilance, and how important it was for people with chronic conditions to retain hope. Her honesty allowed fans with similar conditions to feel seen. To them, Dana wasn't just an actress. She was a warrior who fought an unseen battle while still shining brightly in front of the camera. As her career evolved in the late 1980s and early 1990s, Dana explored a kaleidoscope of roles, weaving her comedic touches into her dramatic performances and showcasing an emotional range that continued to impress. She dabbled in everything from school specials to big-screen comedies like National Lampoon's European Vacation, where she drew laughter for her portrayal of the Griswold daughter, Audrey, though in a way very distinct from the typical comedic approach. Whether she was playing an animated mouse or a plucky teen, Dana brought authenticity and vulnerability, never falling into one-dimensional caricature. Meanwhile, her charitable efforts flourished. She quietly supported organizations that sought better treatments and a cure for diabetes. She volunteered for local events and used her influence to help others. She also recognized that diabetes often came with financial burdens, especially for families who couldn't afford continuous care or up-to-date technology. While the details of her philanthropic work were seldom splashed across tabloids, those who benefited from her generosity speak of her unwavering compassion to this day. However, the inescapable fact was that a chronic illness can wax and wane unpredictably. While there were times Dana's condition appeared to be under control, it never completely loosened its grip on her life. Balancing blood sugar levels was a daily battle, exacerbated by the long filming schedules that occasionally wrecked her routine. She sometimes found it tough to keep her energy consistent through takes, especially when directors demanded repeated scenes under hot studio lights. Yet she persevered, fueled by a profound love for her craft. The steady hum of career successes continued through her roles on television and in film. Audiences remember her cameo in The Wonder Years, where she played a teacher who left a subtle but heartfelt mark on the young characters in the show. Her approach to the role was gentle, careful, evoking a sense of empathy that seemed to come to her as naturally as breathing. She slid from comedic cameo to dramatic appearance with an ease that her fellow actors often admired. If there was a single defining quality in Dana Hill's acting, it was her knack for connecting wholeheartedly with whatever scene she found herself in. Rather than merely reciting lines, she inhabited them. Whether it was the comedic chaos of National Lampoon or an emotional school break special, she poured her entire being into every laugh, tear, or sigh. She also kept a sense of grounded perspective, reminding herself and those around her that while acting was her love, it wasn't the whole of her existence. She was, after all, a daughter, a friend, a diabetes advocate, a voice that mattered in her community. Yet the mounting pressures of the industry never wholly abated. Hollywood is often driven by demanding schedules, shifting trends, and relentless competition. Even for an actress of Dana's caliber, survival in that environment demanded constant reinvention. Moreover, as Dana matured, the roles for which she was famous, young teens or children, grew scarce. She explored voice acting even more zealously, as that realm offered a breadth of characters unbound by physical age or appearance. It was perhaps in the voice booth that her playful spirit found the greatest freedom, able to imbue animated figures with layers of feeling that transcended drawn outlines. In the mid-1990s, Dana continued searching for meaningful work. She kept a careful watch on her health, but the strain was visible to those close to her. This was the time when she also deepened her role as an advocate, pushing for more open dialogues about the daily demands of diabetes care. She hoped to see more empathetic representations of chronic illness in media, so that children growing up with conditions like hers could feel validated rather than alienated. Tragically, fate again intervened. In May of 1996, Dana's health took a drastic turn for the worse when she slipped into a diabetic coma. Despite initial glimpses of improvement, her condition quickly deteriorated. She suffered a massive paralytic stroke in June, and each day seemed to bring a fresh crisis that made her loved ones fear the worst. The medical community worked tirelessly to stabilize her, but the complications were relentless. On July 15, 1996, Dana Hill passed away at the age of 32. The entertainment world reeled from the loss of a talent who had given so much so soon, and who still had untold stories left to share. In that moment, hearts across the globe felt a pang of sorrow. Those who had seen her grow up on screen remembered the big smiles, the spark of laughter, the authenticity she brought to every project. Her colleagues remembered a gentle soul who was professional to a fault, who never let the demands of her health color her willingness to give a scene all she had. And people in the diabetes community lost a champion who had proven that a diagnosis was not an ending, but rather a chapter in one's personal narrative, a call to resilience and empathy. The days after her passing were filled with tributes that poured in from fans, fellow actors, directors, and everyone in between. They described her as warm, unpretentious, and full of purpose. Journalists looked back at her varied career, from early commercials to the comedic escapades of the Griswolds. They reflected on her voice roles and how even behind a microphone, she had the power to tug on heartstrings. People rewatched Fallen Angel, remembering just how extraordinary her performance had been for someone so young. Through it all, a sense of gratitude pervaded. Gratitude that she had shared her gifts with the world, if only for a limited time. To this day, Dana Hill's legacy resonates with an emotional depth that transcends the specifics of her career. Yes, she was an actress who played many roles. Yes, she was an award winner recognized for her raw talent. But more than that, she was a person who fought an uphill battle while refusing to let it dictate her destiny. She balanced a flourishing career with the relentless management of type 1 diabetes, shining a spotlight on a condition that others preferred to keep in the shadows. Even long after her passing, her voice still rings out through countless beloved animated characters. Her performances endure in reruns, streaming platforms, and in the memories of those who watched her perform. When fans watch an old episode of The Fall Guy or revisit National Lampoon's European Vacation for nostalgia, they sometimes find themselves unexpectedly moved, realizing the perseverance she must have mustered to bring such life and energy to the screen. Because behind every laugh and comedic twist, behind every dramatic outburst or heartfelt confession, was someone beating incredible odds, day after day, moment by moment. Those who look back on her life are struck by how seamlessly she transitioned from being the unstoppable track star she'd once dreamed of becoming to an unstoppable actress. In each new role, she carried that same determined spirit. If the reality of her condition made one door slam shut, she kicked open another with a resilient grin. She had an uncanny ability to make life's detours seem like just another set of stepping stones, each challenge an opportunity to stretch her capacity for empathy and creativity. We are left with a tapestry of stories, each thread an insight into who Dana Hill was. She was a daughter who, despite her father's well-intentioned warnings, ventured into commercials and used her mother's surname so no one would suspect nepotism. She was an athlete who discovered a new identity when her original dreams went awry. She was a comedic delight, a champion for the underdog, and an actor unafraid to walk into the darkest emotional corners when a role demanded it. She was both luminous and down-to-earth, fierce yet gentle. Her final chapter, though heartbreaking, highlights the fragility of life. It is a sobering reminder that disease can cut short the brightest flame, but it also underscores the power of the human spirit. We may not be able to choose the battles we face, but we can choose how to fight them. And Dana Hill fought with a courage that still inspires. She proved that it is possible to carve out a meaningful place in the world, no matter what adversities might stand in the way. In the years since her passing, many have wondered how Dana's career might have continued to blossom had she been granted more time. Would she have pivoted more toward directing or producing, following in her father's footsteps? Would she have continued as a leading voice in comedic animation, recognized by new generations of children, discovering the mischief of a mouse named Jerry or the escapades of Max Goof? Perhaps she would have become an even more outspoken advocate for diabetes research, harnessing her experiences and platform to shift the conversation around chronic illness. None of these questions have easy answers, but the simple act of pondering them speaks to the impact she had on fans and colleagues alike. Still, one thing remains clear. Dana's memory invites us to embrace life wholeheartedly, to pursue passions with unrelenting vigor, and to treat others with kindness, because everyone is fighting some battle beneath the surface. Her story makes us smile, laugh, and sometimes shed a tear, reminding us that the truest measure of a life is the depth of the footprints left in the hearts of others. And that is where this tribute to Dana Hill must come full circle. Although her life ended far too soon, her spirit endures in each frame of film, each line of dialogue she recorded, and the countless hearts she touched, whether on set or beyond. She gave us unforgettable roles, taught us about resilience, and brought laughter to living rooms that spanned from one coast to another. Through her unwavering commitment to her craft and her own survival, she proved that obstacles need not stand in the way of one's calling. If you've made it this far in her story, we invite you to keep Dana's legacy alive. Remember the determined child who sprinted her way into national track standings, the teenager who calmly accepted police pullovers en route to a TV studio, the young actress who faced grown-up demons on screen in Fallen Angel, the spirited voice behind cartoon favorites, the adult who carried daily burdens with as much grace as one can muster, and the advocate who cared enough to speak openly about her struggles. Her story is more than a biography. It's a testament to what it means to live meaningfully, to give generously, and to face adversity head-on. Now, as we bring this chapter to a close, we would love for you to help keep Dana's memory shining brightly. If her story moved you, if you found yourself reflecting on your own challenges or feeling newly inspired, consider taking a moment to engage with this tribute in a meaningful way. Give this video a thumbs up to show your appreciation. Drop a comment below to share your thoughts on Dana's life and legacy, and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, so you can continue to explore more stories that highlight the resilience of the human spirit. Finally, share this video with friends and family who may need a reminder that no matter how tough the road seems, there's always another path waiting to be discovered. Dana Hill may no longer grace our screens in person, but her laughter, her warmth, and the enduring sense of hope she carried are still very much alive wherever her stories are told. Through our collective memory and shared reverence for her contributions, Dana's legacy remains unbroken, a continual source of light in an ever-changing world. Each time her voice emerges from an animated character or an old clip appears on a television rerun, we're reminded of the extraordinary woman who overcame the toughest barriers to keep doing what she loved. And that, in the end, is the greatest story any of us could ever hope to tell.